The button's been pressed.
Okay.
Oh, good. I hope he was recording that while I sing along with our own themes. Thanks, Mike. Oh, hi, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello, hello.
All right, bring it in here. All right, bring it in. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Tonight is Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's show. I get situated here, all my stuff. Chad, over the break, some stuff has been changed around, and I noticed not a single pencil has been sharpened. And it's one of those where I went fishing through the thing here, left and right, and kept pulling them out. I don't know, some meetings will be had, perhaps. So will Chad. We'll see. Okay, I don't have too much stuff to do today, Mrs. Ryan. I've got a couple announcements and one video to play. How about you? How you doing?
Just the news for me.
All right, the news for you. Nothing else new in your life? You look nice.
Thank you. I'm trying to, you know what? That's what's new. I'm trying to be more of a lady visually because we've had a couple gorgeous women in here and I just look like a schlub.
Okay, now I noticed this recently on one particular episode, but I literally said it to someone else and I thought it to myself and then I had formed this, whatever. We had Jamie Lynn Sigler in here the other day, Meadow Soprano, for anybody who doesn't know the name Jamie Lynn Sigler. She's on The Sopranos and Entourage and everything else. But she's one of the most beautiful women in the world.
Yeah,
so
gorgeous.
But it took one of the most beautiful women in the world to make Mrs. Ryan the ugly chick in the room. Like, that doesn't happen. And you were by no means the ugly chick in the room. But you know what I'm saying? So
yes.
You are all we get is people who are saying, like, her smile is this, and she's so pretty, and she's so beautiful. Know that while you go into this new thing you're doing, which also is wonderful. Thank
you. I don't think it'll last very long. I need to cut my hair. I think that will help. But
all
I'm
right.
Trying, everybody.
All right. Well, let me go into some announcements then, since you have that stuff. We'll call them PSAs. Okay. No, it's just some stuff coming up, but we never really get to this stuff, and then it's always gone, and we're trying to do this thing as a nightly show. We should do this stuff ahead of time instead of behind. It'll help promote. Instead of telling people, hey, here's the thing you missed. Wish you were there.
We did.
Yeah.
It was neat.
So Friday coming up, we'll talk about Breakfast Club, obviously, at the end of the week. But Friday, we've got our typical Breakfast Club. Karina Roberts, although from Karina Roberts Photography, she's mainly a motorcycle photographer. But she's up at the Crest, and she lives up at Chileo. She is going to be taking photos of our Porsche group, and anybody else who drives by, I guess, from 8:30 to 9:15 on Friday morning. Now, she's going to be at mile marker 49, known as Karina's Corner in the motorcycle world. Basically, where that is for the rest of you is it's between 9 Mile and Newcomb. So it's the final stretch. So essentially just you have to plan on being at Newcomb's by like 9:30 or so. Like plan on that, you know what I mean?
Okay,
to pass
hit
here.
the
But yeah,
window?
ish.
All right.
I mean, if you're Derek Whittaker, it'll be a much smaller window. That stupid car. Hashtag stupid car. And then Saturday we are going to be at LAG. Auto Kennel is having their event that they normally do monthly, but they haven't done it in 3 months because of everything else. There was Luftgekühlt, there was rallies, there was all different things on the same days. So the Luftgekühlt Lazy Auto Kennel Gathering, the Auto Kennel Lazy Auto Kennel Gathering is 9 to 11 on Saturday, and shortly after that on the same day is the Benton Barbecue. They've been promoting for a couple months now. They're putting together a nice big spread. That's from 1 to 6 over at Benton. So
that's
9
a lot.
to 11 an Auto
Busy
Kennel,
day.
1 to 6 at Benton Performance. One's in Costa Mesa, and one's in Anaheim. I mean, they're on the same kind of general area, so highly suggest you do both. We'll be there.
Both
Gosh,
you guys.
look at that. Hang on. For photos like this from Karina, this is good.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was a whole time here. And then, of course, you've got your lag. And then, of course, you've got your Benton Barbecue. Boy, I took all the time and the effort to put that stuff in there.
And it's beautiful.
I know. We're dinging it after everything. All right. Well, I have an East Coast feed.
Okay.
Checking in with Kaz at Danbury Chive. And specifically, I haven't watched this yet, but I do know that this is the video from Mikey's birthday. Okay?
Awesome.
So you love Mikey. This is Uncle Mike, Brother Kaz. East Coast feed, roll it, Hal.
No. Yo. So, Brooke, the Kaz man, and Mike, on his birthday, in the rain, mind you, we just left Spider-Man, as you can see right there. Just want to send you guys some random love. We're going to send you a fun story, aside from Michael's birthday today, about how I dropped Brooke's phone in the ocean, and she was really mad for 3 days.
Still don't have it.
Well, she has a phone now, but it took 3 days. But anyway, just want to send some love on Michael's birthday. Say happy birthday, Mike. Woo! Love you guys.
Oh my. Happy birthday, Mike.
Well, that's funny. That was cute. Just a little walk and talk. Yeah, happy birthday, Brother Migaluch. Good guys.
I really can't wait to meet that guy. And Brooke, I'm really sorry about your phone.
You've never met Mikey? Are you serious? That's amazing to me. I don't believe you.
I don't think I did.
I don't think that's
I
true.
certainly haven't spent time with him.
Oh, okay.
I might have met him with Grandma at the hospital, but I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry.
The phone thing with Brooke, I know what happened, but we'll let it. I hope there's a feed for it, although it may have.
It might be in the ocean.
That may be the story there. Anyway, Mrs. Wright, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. What's going on?
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Dun, 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 dun.
There's a new design with middle plane seats.
What?
Everyone's trying to figure out how to make life not as miserable for people around them, is what I gather.
I
And
appreciate that if that's the truth.
that's what I'm taking from so many things of like people that just like this middle plane seat idea. It's just it's in the idea stage, except it's been bought by a major Western country airline. They said they're being pretty quiet about where it's going.
Sounds pretty secretive.
Yeah, but it's 3 inches back and lower. The middle
interesting.
seat.
We're just trying to stagger. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a
Different
whole new
armrests and stuff
design.
like that.
It supposedly keeps all the amount of rows and everything, so the airlines will be happy. So it's just another option, and it sounds like a good start.
Yeah,
So I'm in.
I agree with you. Well done on that.
Thanks. For the summer, Starbucks is tie-dyeing a Frappuccino.
What?
Here,
Sounds
it sounds
like a snow
nuts.
cone.
Remember
the rainbow
I
snow
don't
cone?
love. Yes, I
It's
do.
just food
remember
coloring,
that.
right? I'll let you go ahead.
This-
You go ahead and tell us.
This actually is turmeric and spinach and something else just for color because it's really banana flavored. Whatever. But they like the idea of tie-dyes and spreading joy and rainbows that way.
Oh,
so,
I see.
By all means,
Like tie-dye equals love, equals hippie love, and all.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so
okay,
they're
I love
really
that.
going that way. Like, not the girly unicorn drinks. They're just like... It works. It makes a splash, but it's not the love transfer that tie-dye and rainbows and stuff is. So they're trying out something new. So
No matter
for
what do you stand for, kind of thing.
Right.
Sure.
So I don't love
Makes sense.
frappuccinos, but I like banana, and I would have a frappuccino that was tie-dye. So go for it. Cats and dogs can give blood too.
Ooh.
Did you know that?
Nope.
Okay. Then we're in the majority, the pretty normal, regular people that don't know that. But there's groups that are trying to make it more public that cats and dogs can give blood. Because they need it as much as we do. It's something I really didn't think about until this morning. Like, different kinds of pets need transfusion.
Sure.
and
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Never.
it makes perfect sense. And so there's a lot of, it's still in the beginning stages, like how to do it and what animals can do it well. Like, I don't think I've ever had a pet that would be good for this program. They're not patient. But some animals really love that stuff, and it really helps for greyhounds that apparently need that kind of nourishment often. So look into it if it's of interest and if you think your animal pet would be into it. Mine would not. But lastly, this is such a neat story to me, and it kind of goes hand in hand with that last one.
Okay. Oh, great.
It's in New Jersey. It's a 12-year-old kid that makes bow ties to help animals get adopted better. to
What?
look nice when they're adopted. He had some like cognitive motor skill deficiencies when he was a kid,
Oh my
and so
goodness.
his mom and sister were like, here's the thing, your fine motor skills suck. They were nicer about it. But they were like, you can help us make ribbons for hair bows. And so they started doing that. He started cutting them, but he got it really into it and started sewing and making bow ties. And now he's got, what's it called? Bows and Paws is his charitable foundation that he
Cool.
makes bow ties for animals to get adopted. So
Nice.
it sounds awesome. It was in People magazine. Like, it's really come so far from where he started.
It is, and it does sound awesome. I just am noticing there. Did you also change your shoelaces on your shoes?
I did.
That looks very nice, McQueen.
I wanted to switch it up and be a little more fun.
Good for you.
So
Nice
there's
Hunziker
that.
Sneakers there.
I love my Hunziker sneakers, but I needed some color.
I like it. I
So-
like them better. Looks great.
Thanks. Donate fabric and
Sorry.
see if your pets
Oh,
want to
ta-da!
donate blood.
And that's been What's Going On, Mrs. Ryan. Holy smokes. All right, Mrs. Ryan, I realize that we did not talk about our guest at the top of the show like we should have and we normally would have, so that's my fault. Sorry about that. Our guest tonight is going to be in here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a break, but before we do that, I'm going to tell you about him. His name is Mike Siegel. He's a comedian. He's an actor, and he just got back from Rwanda, Uganda, and Sicily to a tour. It's all true. He's going to be in here in just a few minutes. We're going to get to know him. More to come right after this. See you in a few. Oh, the
Filter with the like Vaseline on the lens, with
I always think of
moonlighting.
Joan Rivers myself. I was
Oh.
thinking it was somebody, and I can't remember. I think it might have been Gary Shandling or somebody. Joan Rivers is not here tonight. It was like the Oscars or something. She's home boycotting HD TV.
Yeah.
It was a great line. Anyway, hi there, Mike.
Hi.
How are you?
It's good to be here.
Thank you very much for coming to our home, a little home studio here.
This
Thank
is
you very much
amazing.
for-
I'm very impressed with your setup here.
Thank you for complimenting it. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk more about your handiwork. This is impressive. This is so nice.
Thanks for being here, and I don't know really much about you, so I'm really looking forward to getting
Well,
to
I'm
know
surprised.
you.
I'm a pretty famous guy. I don't know.
mean it like
Wow.
that.
Okay.
I want to know about the cruise ship you just got off of where you went
Do
to
ya?
Uganda.
That wasn't a cruise. That was on my own. That was when you were introducing
It
it.
was
It's
on-
like he just came back from Uganda, Rwanda, and
And
Sicily,
Sicily.
and I'm just thinking there's other comics out there going, "Who books that horrible run?
That's a great tour.
That sounds terrible."
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Who's booking that Uganda run, Mike? It's just we tie it in with Petoskey, Michigan, and then you go to Uganda, and then
It was right on the heels of you were saying that you were doing a cruise ship. Are you not going to do a cruise?
yeah, that-
Normally we plug at the end, but
I'm doing a cruise in afterwards. I'm going to. I don't know when this comes. When's this
tonight.
come out?
It's tonight's show.
Oh wow! It's boy. I think I would know the title of it. Yeah, no. I later this month I do a cruise in New England, your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I do the Boston-Montreal route back and forth.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh yeah, we go from Boston to Bar Harbor, Maine,
Wait, what the?
to Nova Scotia,
No shit.
Prince Edward Island,
Do you go that way?
That
Like
sounds
east?
beautiful.
and then then we go to Quebec City, and then Montreal, and then we turn around and do it back 7 days, and then back.
Both Quebec City and anywhere in Montreal. I don't know where you port, but I mean, those are both great
Yeah,
places to see.
I've never been to Quebec City, believe it or not.
Really?
And I haven't been to Montreal since I did the comedy festival there, and this is going to be 97.
JFL?
Oh,
Yep.
Holy
I did that
cow,
way back
that-
then. I
that's
was
when it
12.
new.
I was 12, folks. Yeah. It was a while ago. But no, I remember loving it. So I'm looking forward to going back because the last 4 summers I've been doing Alaska.
oh, the other side.
And yeah. So which
you,
is beautiful,
I was not
but
far off. You do cruises.
I've only been doing it for about 4 years. They saw me. This cruise agent in Miami saw me on Last Comic Standing when I did that, like the
We're
last
going in-
season
we're
of
going in
that.
the worst order
and they
ever.
said, "Yeah," and they said, "You think you ever think about doing cruises?" And I was like, "Oh, not till I was 60." You know, just like that's usually
Until I start taking them.
yeah, that's usually the trajectory. There's try it out, but the truth is you can make decent
We've had
money
a-
on them.
We've had a few people here who have made
Yeah.
some very decent money on them for doing them
Yeah.
for a long time and enjoy the process as well. Do you enjoy the process?
Well, the hard thing is not that I was ever like a dirty act, but I mean, you have to be pretty squeaky, clean. There's no politics, no religion, no any of that. So you are kind of limited. The toughest thing is when you're out at sea. I mean, the internet is really slow and expensive, and so you might as well be on another planet, man. I mean, you're making money, but you're out of town. I mean, you're way out of town.
Yeah.
So I can't even like Skype an audition or something like that. So that's when it gets
you're
tough.
really cut off.
Yeah, and so
I didn't
get a lot of
realize
reading done. You work out a lot. If you try to be disciplined. And
Our show publicist was on a cruise for the last 2 weeks over the break.
Oh, really?
And he got back saying he paid $40 a day for internet, and it only like one day could he read email, but he was never able to send it.
oh no, I'm getting and I get
$40 a day.
$40 a day.
That's what he said.
I get a crew rate, and there's no streaming. There's no like Netflix.
Oh,
there's
good
no
luck.
YouTube. No nothing. So
3,000 other people would be fighting you for the
So,
bandwidth.
yeah, so everybody on the ship, who works on it, they all have these hard drives full of
All their movies,
series,
and TV shows.
Yeah, where they just trade them with each other,
Oh,
and we
that's
pay
actually
for them,
kinda cool.
of course.
Of course.
That's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Peer-
At least you're not
peer-to-peer
like alone
live.
out there.
Yeah,
Wow.
but yeah,
Well-
it can be tough.
All right, so somebody found you from the show Last Comic Standing
Yeah.
to do that, but then you keep doing it. I mean, is it enjoyable?
Yeah,
or
I
is
mean,
it
I've
just
gotten-
kind of a challenge, or
You know what? If I can do like, I don't want to make it my sole
Gotcha.
thing. I don't want to be 40 weeks a year out
you're
there.
not going to say no.
But yeah, I mean, it pays bills, and
Sure.
if I can do like maybe 10, 12 weeks a year, I'm good with that. Just kind of cover my.
Is it as
Living.
enjoyable as going on the road?
It's a different kind of thing. I'm certainly seeing some. I went to places like I've been to Antarctica, which I don't know. That was the last continent I haven't been to, so I
Yeah.
covered that. And
Most people have not done that
yeah,
one.
and that's a tough one to get to. So I've been to like Australia.
There's a
New
cruise
Zealand.
that goes to Antarctica?
Many. I had to
Really?
catch the ship in Ushuaia, Argentina, which is the southernmost city in the world.
Tip, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you get it from there, and it's about 2 weeks then. The hard part is the Drake Passage, where you have to go across. It can be, really
This is
bad.
fascinating.
It was
Wow.
really, yeah. But I mean, Antarctica was amazing. It was, and also if you're thinking of taking a cruise. If it's over 500 passengers in Antarctica, you can't get off the ship. That's like the rules.
Do you mean to keep track of? Is that the rule?
Well, they're trying to preserve it nature-wise. So
That
Might
makes a
take
lot of
over the
sense.
city.
yeah,
No, that makes a lot of
and
sense.
so our ship was about 450 passengers. So we could take these little Zodiac boats and walk amongst the penguins and the whole thing. It was pretty amazing.
That's pretty rad.
I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you about comedy, but now I feel like you're.
Oh,
Anthony
that's comedy.
No, now I feel like you're Anthony Bourdain, like this traveler who's like
Well,
walking
yeah.
amongst the penguins.
Well,
and
that was
polar bears.
Yeah, I mean, travel is someone. That's my other. I have a travel
passion?
podcast, and
Oh.
I have
Boy,
the Travel Tales podcast.
your
and-
booker did not provide much
Yeah, I'm
information on you
sorry.
at all. I didn't realize your podcast was travel related.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
It
god!
is.
All right, please tell me.
You wouldn't
and
believe
let's
this. I'm a
start-
comedian
let's-
with a podcast. They're very hard to get.
original.
Yeah,
original.
a lot of guys don't have them, but
breaking everything,
Yeah.
all the barriers. Tell me about your podcast. What's it called?
the Travel Tales, traveltalespodcast.com.
Okay.
I've
do it
been
from
doing it
your
for about
home?
7 years or so, and
Do you do it from home or
yeah,
from
yeah,
out?
yeah.
Okay.
Both. Like I'll record stuff. I've recorded on the ships. I've recorded around the world. I've recorded the most recent one I did when I was in Uganda and Rwanda. I just went on my own to
So you were working.
to see the gorillas. So I was with a group of 6, and I just interviewed them. And
Did we decide if that was Diane Fossey or if it was?
it was Fosse.
It was. So
The,
you were right.
yeah.
I said, but now I can't remember who I said.
Jane Goodall.
I say Jane Goodall.
I know. I get them confused too. But yeah, we went by some hotel.
don't
and said,
appreciate it.
Yeah, stay in the room that Diane Fossey used to stay in. I was like, oh, all right. I'm
This
sure
is
it's
the
jazzy.
phone. This is the phone.
Yeah. But that was just on my own. I wanted to, that was a bucket list thing. I always wanted to go see the mountain gorillas there. So that's what I
Wow.
did. So, and then I just kind of extended it while I was there. I went down to Zimbabwe and Victoria Falls.
Is your
down there.
Instagram just beautiful?
I'd like to think so. Travel Tales Podcast on Instagram.
There we go.
Yeah, I have some cool stuff on there.
I bet.
It was always a passion for me. I mean, so when it came time to thinking of doing a podcast, it's like all my friends had them in comedy, and I wanted to do something else.
You have a different interest.
Yeah, and so I've met a whole new crowd of people and friends through it, and I've taken press trips, and eventually I've always wanted to host, a travel show and stuff, and I've done a couple. I hosted one in Taiwan called Top 10 Things to Do in Taiwan. That aired on
Did they get it?
CNBC once.
Oh, it was for us at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it did. That was cool. And I've done some, travel. I've taken press trips to like Thailand, and I'm a brand ambassador for the Rocky Mountaineer train, and
Are you really?
in Canada, going from like
I'm a
Vancouver
huge
to
rail
Banff.
fan, so don't mess
Are you?
with
It's
me.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's beautiful. Have you been up to Banff or any of the Rocky Mountains? up
No,
there?
no. I mean, I've driven
Gorgeous.
across country, so I've seen it
Yeah.
from afar, but no.
Well, Vancouver's a great city anyway, but if you, taking the train over and if you get to like Jasper and Banff National Park, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. So I recommend that highly. The train is a little pricey, but
yeah,
you could.
but the train. You
But
gotta
I'm
do
here
the
to
train.
promote it, I
Gotta
guess.
do the- gotta
So
do
yeah,
the
yeah.
train.
But it's wonderful.
But you go through those places, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like
You go right over.
nearby.
Yeah, you spend a night in Kamloops, BC,
Cool.
and then you go over the Rockies, and it's really gorgeous.
All right, well, let's make this more like our show usually is, just because I got to wrangle something here so I know where to go. Where did you grow up? Where
Chicago.
are you from? Oh, okay.
From Chicago, yeah.
In the city?
Just south of the city. So I started comedy around 90, 91. And
Why? I mean,
why?
Well, it's
what
a-
made you
yeah.
go to the dark
I
side?
ask every single person this.
I always
for
loved
my
it.
own personal
Yeah,
reasons.
I came out of a writing background. I wasn't like a actor or theater person or anything like that. And so
Well, what
I
gave
was
you
a
that
newspaper writer.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was a sports writer for a newspaper chain outside of Chicago, but I always grew up loving comedy, listening to albums
Comedy
and
and
stuff.
sports don't go together, and then comedy
Well,
and travel can, but sports and travel don't necessarily. I mean, you're kind of.
Yeah, I studied journalism and PR, that kind of stuff, and so it was like a watered down communications degree. You
Yeah.
know, it's like corporate communications. So what
Make
does that
your
mean?
own.
It's just, make it up. So it's kind of journalism, a little PR, advertising, that kind of crap.
Where'd you go?
Northern Illinois University, home of the Huskies. Yeah, one of your finer state institutions of higher learning. Very tough to get in.
Good job.
You need a pencil. Yeah, it was. Oof. Anyway, so I was out of school for about a year. I was writing for some little dinky paper, doing high school sports and that kind of stuff. And then,
But were you working humor into your work?
well,
Or
I mean, I always liked it.
were you funny? Were you?
Yeah,
a
I mean, I wasn't a
personal-
class clown or anything like that, but I was that guy in the back of the room who could, make people laugh. and-
Sarcastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I used to just devour albums, but this in the days before
Comedy albums.
Comedy album.
Yeah, in the days before cable and stuff like this. So I had like Richard Pryor and
That was gonna
Carlin
ask
and
who were so.
yeah.
So the obvious.
Yeah, Cosby was a big thing because he was clean. I had to hide the Richard Pryor albums from my parents because
Right.
they were dirty.
No,
but-
it's true. The irony, right?
Yeah, just listen
The
to them
irony.
over. Yeah,
One of them was telling us the truth the whole time, and the other one was like
exactly.
behind the curtain.
Yeah, the clean guy.
Right. Meanwhile, the devil's over there is telling you
Right.
the truth the whole time.
But that always extended into things like Mad Magazine and then
Sure.
Rest in Peace.
Right. This
Isn't that
week.
sad?
Yeah.
I had all
the
the
end of an era.
I had all the paperbacks. I had all that
did?
stuff. I mean, I devoured that. And when I think about it, that was like my first intro to sarcasm and that kind of thing.
shit.
Because it was
For
all
some people, the
wiseassery.
lampoon, right?
You'd make fun of stuff, and it was
all lampoon type humor, wasn't
yeah,
it?
and it was written over our heads as a kid. But I knew it was funny for a reason. I didn't know. And then they would do. I had old paperbacks of like compilations, and they'd make references to like High Noon. And I didn't even know what they meant. It was like, now I got to look up High Noon. What is it?
Oh,
I got to see that
so
movie with
funny. Cartoons were always that way for me
Yeah.
too. Bugs Bunny and everything else.
right. And but we were learning.
Yeah.
We didn't know it, but we were learning
Stimulated
stuff
and
and
learning.
references and things like that. So, yeah, and then just gradually went from there to things like Monty Python and stuff like that.
So
So,
you're ingesting all of this
Yeah.
comedy and all of this sounds like very, very good material. You weren't
Yeah,
taking
but-
in the hack stuff.
I wasn't. I never saw a live comedian until I was in college, and I think my freshman year, because we would get them into school,
Sure.
and I saw
Best of the best.
Jay Leno. Jay Leno
shit.
came in. He was the first guy. My freshman orientation show, it was huge, and it wasn't until I got old enough to go to comedy clubs, and then I could see it.
At what point is this in Jay Leno's career? Is he guest hosting on the Tonight Show? Is he hosting
No.
the Tonight Show?
He was always a guest on Letterman. We knew him from going
From
on
the
Letterman.
Letterman days.
Yeah.
Oh God. The
And
best
we're like,
guest
we got to
ever.
see that. He was the best.
Yeah. What's my
When him and
beef?
Dave
What's my
together,
beef?
yeah, what's my beef?
Chris Elliott playing Leno was always the greatest too.
They
Sorry,
would plant him,
go
and they
ahead.
just put him in the chair, and he would just go off. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Usually
the
bringing
best.
sandwiches and shit.
What was the one? He was talking about Chinese food or something, and then I just remember Jay going, "I don't know, Dave. Can you get Chinese food in this town?" And we're
like
just
the
like,
most
yeah,
obvious thing.
New York. Just little things like that. It just, you gonna get Chinese food? I don't know, Dave. Can you get Chinese food in this town? What's your beef, Jay? And then just let him roll. So yeah, he was the guy I saw, and then I would see any comedian that would come in, I would see. But
well, seeing Jay Leno during that time, I mean, God, electric.
it was
electric.
great.
I mean, that
He's
was
still an amazing live performer. I mean,
yeah, but I just mean the electricity of at that time with what was going on in the world at the time.
Oh,
With,
yeah.
with Jay Leno's voice and everything. I mean, like this is I can understand this being a tipping point for you to get into.
well, I didn't know what really got me into still like guys like that. Growing up in the Midwest, I didn't know anybody. Where I grew up, to saying you want to be in show business was like saying you wanted to like walk on Mars. Nobody did that.
Yeah.
That's not a job.
It's laughable.
So I didn't know anybody who did that. So I thought you had to be from New York or Los Angeles or something like. I didn't know anybody. It wasn't until I got out of school and started going to comedy clubs, and this is the tail end of the '80s comedy boom, where there was a comedy club on every corner,
Right.
and they were just giving away free passes during the week. So then you'd start seeing bad comedy. Just like people my own age up there sucking, and I was like, well, he's
do
just like
that.
me.
I can do that.
I could probably do that if I have, So I just sat and wrote for months and months and thought maybe I'll give it a shot.
When you wrote for months and months and months, did you? Forgive me, I threw one more months on there. Did
Yeah.
you?
It was that many months.
Did you? How did that go? I mean, this is your first time trying to collect material, right?
Yeah, just kind of just writing jokes, all the silly stuff about.
But did you do all? Did you have to go through?
I wrote it out, do it in the mirror, holding a hairbrush and that everything.
Do you remember anything from that act?
No, not really. I mean, I must have said something.
Good answer.
Yeah,
But-
I don't really remember that much. It was all a blur. I mean, I had I signed up at I looked in the Chicago Reader, which was like the
LA
Village
Weekly
Voice or
kinda
something.
thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
sure.
a free weekly, and I just saw some bar that had an open mic on a Wednesday, and I went there and
Safe.
I signed up.
Sounds
I didn't
safe.
tell anybody.
Yep.
I go to these clubs now and I see people starting out and they got their whole family their first time, their coworkers, and I was just like, nah.
Nope.
It was too personal to me because I'd never performed. I'd never done anything really.
You're coming out
Artistic
of the closet
in a way.
weirdest
Yeah,
right?
you really
You're
are.
taking a big chance.
And if it went badly, no one had to know about it, So I went there and they put me on last, and there was only 5. It was some bar
Is
that
that
tries
good, though?
comedy one.
Is that good or
That's
bad?
when it's good.
Yeah, I mean, but it prolonged the agony of I would walk around the block trying to remember everything. You don't think of having to memorize stuff and
Meanwhile, there's 10 people. There's
Yeah.
8 people. Next lap, 6
no, there's
people.
5, and they were all the other comics. But the thing about it is you meet your, and the show went by. I mean, maybe it must have gotten 2 laughs, but the charge of it and the energy I got off it was just like, oh my God, this is something.
So what was it? Was there any reaction that was positive from the crowd that you liked, or was it?
I
the
must have
power
got
of
1 or
having
2
the mic
chuckles,
in-
and I got 3 minutes.
But is it the power position? What was it?
Yeah,
about
you're up on, you're high above
control?
stage. There's a light on you. You have a microphone. You're louder than everybody else.
You're giving a voice for
You're
maybe
giving
the first
attention.
time. Yeah.
I mean, people want to be heard, and it's a way to be heard. And it was a charge. It was a
Yeah.
buzz. So, and then you meet your crowd. No matter what you're in, you meet other people that you can geek out about whatever your thing is. Whether it's comic books,
yes.
whether it's
once you're living your true life.
you're into what? Porsches, right?
Yeah, or this stuff really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're into cars, and say you love Porsches, and in mixed company, you would bore the piss out of everybody talking about the intricacies of some engine.
But when you get
But you get around your guys, and you can sit there and talk about that for hours.
This is it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
This is it for me.
And
Everyone
comedy-
always knew I was into Porsches. Nobody knew I was secretly into this
Oh,
shit
really?
my whole life. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've been Rain Man about it my whole life. So this is it.
Right.
You're literally describing my experience as I sit here.
So we
with
do
you.
the show, and I meet a whole bunch of people that I'd never met before, but we're all into the same thing. We could sit there and talk about comedy for, did you see that guy's special? Yeah, and just going over and over, and then all of a sudden you found your tribe, and then I found through them. They said, "Oh, on Thursday nights, there's a list of these places that you can sign up," and it's
So your world expanded. a
yeah,
little bit.
and I met a whole new group of friends, and it's because I was bored. I was working for a paper. I was hanging out with most of the same guys I knew in college, and then we'd go out and get drunk on weekends, and I was like, I can't. This is not going to be.
It's got a shelf.
I'm over it.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, shelf life's good.
You can find some. Boredom's a great motivator for a lot of
Yes.
stuff. That's why guys start bands and Everything else, do any kind of art because you want to get out of wherever you're at. So it's like, okay, now I got something to shoot for. This was kind of cool. And then I just started doing it for a few years, and then
Well, no, but after that first time, it went fine enough that you got
fine
the charge
enough.
and whatever.
So I'm going to try it again, and
So
then you
that
try
was
it again.
Do you go
and
the
then you
week
try it
after?
again.
Do you go a month later?
Yeah.
Did you wait? Did you
No,
go right back the next night? I mean, how did it
It wasn't
work
the
for
next
you?
night, but I mean, I think after that, it was at least every week I would try to find
You
something.
knew you liked it enough that you were
Yeah.
you were going to figure it out.
And then you learn things like why did I say the exact same thing last night and it got laughs, and this night it got nothing, and I died a horrible death. It's the same jokes. What happened? And you realize, there's all these different
intonations,
factors,
all the
and
small things.
yeah, and every crowd's different, and you just don't know, and the environment's different.
Oh, you're literally saying even if you were identical and
Yeah.
exactly the same, the result is going to be
That's
different.
one
Sure,
thing
sure.
a comic learns starting out, and it's like, wait a minute, these are the same jokes. How come it did
Do
so well
you-
yesterday?
do you
What am I
care-
bombing?
Do
Yeah.
you care that it doesn't work, or do you learn to read the room?
It's a great question.
Both. I mean, nobody likes to chew it up there, so
Totally, but some people don't care. Like they're just like, this is my material. I'm going to make the material great. I don't care if anyone likes it. Versus other people are like, I can play with the material to get the audience to not hate me.
I think at first, I mean, especially those first few years, you're trying to get laughs. How you get them, it's only after, you start doing it for a while and you realize, okay, I know I can get laughs. What am I saying? And that's when you look to find your voice and your style and stuff like that. The first couple of years, it's really a lot of survival. You got to have some hubris to just go, no, I'm sticking to my guns. They don't get it.
Everyone
it's like,
needs to
wow,
know that.
To chew it every night and just going, no, it's them. It's like, you might be delusional. It could be you. Some people don't never get it. They never, and they bomb every night, but
Well,
they're an artist, man.
but we know who those people are, right? I mean, you can pick those people out most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, those people kind of weed themselves out. They disappear after a
fair
while.
enough. Fair
they,
enough.
They give up after a while.
Well, that's part of it too, right?
A lot of people fall by the wayside. I mean, most do.
Isn't
It's
that
hard.
the point? Yeah.
Yeah,
Hard as
it
hell.
weeds
That's the point.
people out, and for whatever reason, people go up and do it for different reasons. Sometimes they just want attention. Sometimes they think it's easy, and it's going to be not. Some people are just out of work actors who just need a stage and want to be seen doing something.
You're very well segueing into something I was going to say before, but didn't know how to say about you. Most comedians I know, most people who are good at comedy, have a tremendous amount of damage behind them. And
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to pick at anything you might have, but he told me he wasn't going
I
to.
promised myself I wasn't going to cry.
Roy Firestone over here.
No, I've had people either
No,
have,
but my point is, you seem so what you're all about trying new things and exploring new outlets and
I wasn't always that way.
travel, and you
Most-
seem very well rounded.
Well, I have different interests. I wasn't, and sometimes it's better to have one like total focus. I mean, I've liked a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I'm very good at a lot of things, but I'm not great at some. Sometimes it's good to be great at one thing, and that's your thing.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of times, when I started working in television, I hosted a bunch of TV shows. I hosted a show called TBS Movie Extra that was on for 9 years. I
What?
hosted 2 shows on HGTV. So that
What were the shows?
one called If Walls Could Talk, and another one called What You Get for the Money, that were on for a shot like 120
What was
of
If Walls
one.
Could Talk? Is that
We
it's
would
not
talk
the
about the
age-
history of old houses. We would go around the country and
Right, like this place has a story.
yeah. So we would be in Connecticut and stuff, like a lot of New England, a lot of old
Tremendous amount.
houses
I
in
feel
the
like I
South.
liked this show. Yeah, it's maybe why you're.
Yeah,
familiar.
it was fun, but and
to
I like
make it-
history too, so that's always a cool thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of took myself off the road there for about 10 years when I moved out here, which
Solely
was
hosting.
luckily enough because I was
working.
working. So, but I've only now started with cruises and things to go back out on the road. I never stopped doing it, but I was just kind of like working locally and stuff like. So now
Well,
I'm
what do
traveling a little bit more for it.
You also act a lot too, though, or at least you have.
I did, yeah,
acted a
yeah.
tremendous amount when you look at the IMDb. Is there one craft that you prefer to another? Because again, you seem to be in all of these little places that a lot of people work their lifetimes to get into, and then
One of them.
One
Yeah,
kind of
thank
like
you.
everything kind of began and ended with stand up. So I guess I'll always kind of consider myself a comedian.
So that's
but
the
acting
hub,
just
and then
kind of
everything
like
is just
branch. You're in Chicago. The only way, other work. This okay, you're doing stand up or you're in Second City or something. And it's like, well, in terms of TV and stuff is really, at the time, is really just commercial work and industrial films and things like that.
Interesting.
So you'd branch off into that to try to make some more money. So that's when I started auditioning for, and it was all commercial stuff. I never read for. They're shooting a lot more there now with the Chicago Hope and Chicago Fire or whatever.
Sure.
At the time, there wasn't that much in the 90s. And so, but eventually, if you want to take it to the next level, most people either go to New York or L.A. So,
Yeah.
But I ended up going to New York. At the time, I was on the road like 40 weeks a year, and I was doing a lot of colleges.
So you're already working plenty.
Yeah, I left my day job after about 3 years of doing it, and finally, I was at a weekly paper. I was missing so much. I was the only sports writer. I wouldn't go to the games. I would just call up the coaches, and it's like, give me the stats.
score?
I get some quotes. I'd make something. It was just, and finally, the paper was like, okay, you got to make a decision.
Seriously.
Yeah, and so I did, and then I went to New York for about a year and a half.
How was that? How, were you ingratiated in? Because being a road comic, for lack of a better term, how did you break in New York?
I was. It's funny. You go there and you have to start over.
Yeah.
So I was
We
like,
hear that a
I was
lot.
some
It's
middle
crazy.
act from Funny Bones around the country, and they're like,
Sure.
"Hey man, you got 5 minutes. Get up there and do it." And so I had to learn how to. You learn to edit your act way down. There's no time to waste, and most clubs in the country, you're one of 3 acts on stage to that night for the show. It's a
not as
3-person
busy
show.
like here.
And you go to
where-
LA and New York,
Yeah.
it's like a giant show where everybody gets 15 minutes and it goes on for hours, and you're one of 25 people on the bill. And usually you're one of about 3/4 of them are white dudes, young white guys, saying it's like you got to stand out.
Is that
somehow.
a geography thing, or is that the times are a changing thing? Because I used to remember the days of opener, middle, head, and nowadays it
Yeah.
seems like everything's what do they used to call it?
free for all.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, LA
No, they
and New
used to call
York
it a
has
showcase or whatever,
yeah.
like where you get 10 guys and.
Oh yeah.
That's only
knocking it,
that's
I
only
just-
really in LA and New York because there's just so many comics, and
So
you
that's what it
don't
is, just
have
the
to do a
numbers?
3-person show. I mean, no, everybody you can have
Yeah, but I'd rather
throw
see
a rock and in this town you'll hit a comedian.
Yes, you're right, but I'd rather go see somebody for 45 minutes if it's getting me to a.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people don't like that because what if you don't like that guy? Now he's
Yeah.
up there for 45 minutes, and
Are there a plethora of comedians that you know that could do 45 minutes?
of course.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
All right.
most guys. I mean, if you're traveling on the road headlining, you have to do 45 minutes. On the ship, I have to do 45. In a college, you have to do an hour.
Really?
That's usually the standard.
Or your 45s, you do 2 a night?
On the ship, I'll do an early and a late show. Yeah.
Do they turn? Or
Yeah.
do you-
I can do
okay.
the same set on that
You
one,
can.
and then I'll have to do another show, which is
you're
like
on-
a
you're-
20-minute show. Sometimes some of them do like late night sets, and
Yeah.
they have to be different. But you do need a lot of material, and it has to be
Well, because you're
clean enough, ship-friendly material. That's why a lot of guys can't do them.
How many other comics are with you on the ship?
None usually.
Oh, so you're the one guy.
Yeah.
So you
But some
need
of
a
the bigger-
shit ton of
A lot of
material. That
pressure.
you're performing probably almost every night.
and
if
you
not
go
every
up
night.
cold. There's nobody opening for you.
Oh, how's everybody doing?
Yeah,
Ah.
it's just some cruise director. So here's our entertainment for the.
How was Uganda?
Yeah. And the hard is,
Who left the boat today?
and there's all these things that you have to learn coming from clubs to a cruise because I asked some older
logistic
guys.
rules?
Well, in a club, people are buying a comedy show, so they can expect if you do something material
That's
that's
their
riskier
night.
or something like that.
Okay.
It's like, hey, you bought a ticket.
Yep.
This is a comedy show. People
Price,
are going to.
yep.
But on a cruise, they bought a cruise. They didn't buy a. We're just there to entertain between the trivia contest and whatever.
Yeah.
The buffet. Nobody. So they're more worried about offending people. They're floating hotel. They don't. They
Well,
just.
but that's what you just described. It's almost the same answer for the comedy for the 10 people on the roster. It's like, well, they don't want to offend the guy who doesn't like someone for 45 minutes. They'd rather pepper the entire audience with everything, with just enough of it.
Yeah.
There's a little
You know
of
what I'm saying?
everything.
To me,
in
that's
case.
that's a business model that it's the Moneyball model that's
yeah.
not going to work for much longer in this.
Well, an older guy told me before I did my first one. It's like, got any advice? He goes, if they get up and leave, don't say anything because you don't know why they're getting up and leaving. Like somebody gets up in the club and
Interesting.
walks out of the show, you're like, hey, where the fuck you going? You can rip them a new asshole, but on the ship, they're like, you don't know why they're leaving. They might have dinner reservations. They could just old and tired, and they didn't pay for the
probably a
show.
lot
They
of
can
that.
come in and leave, and there's kids in there. There's
isn't what I thought it'd be.
it's hard.
This isn't the room I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. So you just have to keep plowing through it. And like, hey, where you going? It's like they're old and they have to pee. You know, you don't know anything. So they may just want to go to bed. Maybe they only wanted to see 20 minutes of your show.
Gosh.
And so you got to let that go. I see him get up and leave, but I can't say anything.
As a comic, you want to go pick at the
oh
tab,
yeah,
right? You want
it goes against all your instincts. If
Yeah.
you're in clubs, they're like, hey,
What do I just let this go?
where the hell are you going? You know,
You
you
call
just.
people out in clubs.
Oh yeah, you could. If it's rare if somebody walks out. I mean, if you're walking people at a club, you either really offended somebody or they're just so drunk they're getting thrown out. But I mean,
These days, especially, I'm thinking if they paid for the ticket, they want their money's worth, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to walk out unless
No.
it's bad.
but if you didn't pay anything, you're not invested. Comedy needs a paid audience. You got to want it. You can't force it on people.
We had here somebody yesterday said the same exact
Yeah.
thing. He said, your free comedy show, nobody. $5 for the exact
That's
same
what killed a
lineup,
lot of
people
those
show up.
clubs in the 80s and 90s. They just had too many of them, and then they started giving it away.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
the
it became
quality
dinner
of the
theater,
crowds,
too. It was a whole different thing.
the quality
Nobody's
of crowds went way down. So it's just like if somebody's, we got free tickets, let's go. That's a bad crowd. You're starting, they got to want it. Just like, well, we could go see a movie or we got free tickets to this. It's like, that's not how you want to go see comedy. You got to
must
want
feel-
comedy.
You must feel great. People pay thousands of dollars to come see you all around the world.
Yeah. I am
That's how I
second.
look at it.
I'm second to the buffet. Actually, I'm fourth.
Water slide.
Yeah.
It's always a good one.
When you think of the things on a cruise that people are, what they really important to them and what they rate,
Yeah.
entertainment is way down. First, it's the food, the service, the itineraries, the amenities, all this stuff, and then entertainment's
entertainment.
down here. So as long as you don't offend, you don't have to kill. They would love it if you
Sure.
get standing ovations, but they're just very worried about offending people, which is a hard way to approach comedy from an artistic thing. It's like
Forget it.
Good luck.
protecting. That's why we have a saying for it. It's not a career move. It's a car payment. That's
That's a damn good
that's a
saying,
comedy
by the way.
mantra. We've always every bad gig when you're standing up there just eating it, and you're just going, it's not a career move. It's a car payment, and
Good
that
to
keeps you
remember.
going, gets you right to the end, gets you right
It's
to
a
the
great
end.
equalizer right
Mm-hmm.
there. Wow. I hate to make it all about cruises, but now you've just got my mind going.
No.
We've only taken one ever, but are you a cruise person? Like,
No,
you
I would
take-
never. It's not my
It's not your
preferred.
thing?
No.
No, I like. They're good if you want everything done for you, which some people do. If you're, that's why older people tend to like them a lot.
That's what I was thinking. Ease. It's very
Yeah,
easy.
it's all set up. You don't have to worry about where you're sleeping and what you're eating and buying food. And my friends with kids like them a lot too because they just go have the run of the ship. And where are they going to go? They're not going to get in trouble. And there's kids'
that
apartments
Kid just
on all these things. It's basically like a camp. They got built-in babysitters. So
awful thing just happened yesterday with the grandfather and the kid. You
somebody
see
just
that?
fell out. Off,
You saw
right?
that? Awful
Yeah.
thing. Awful thing.
That's rare. But the thing they worry about most.
That's why I don't like cruises.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, personally, on my own, I wouldn't. It's not my especially as a traveler that travels on my own around the world. I'd like a little more freedom and where I want to go.
can we
I like making my own itinerary.
Can we go back to your podcast? I want to know more
Sure.
about it. I want to know how often you do it. I want to know how many you've done.
Now I've done hundreds, but now
really?
I do it every other week.
Okay.
Because when you do it alone and just try to get a new guest every week, it started to be stressful.
So it's not just you.
I don't have to tell you that. People drop out. People cancel. People, it's easy to get behind, especially if you're traveling all the time. So once I went to every other week, I was like, oh,
You can
it
breathe a
doesn't
little
sneak
bit.
up on you
Yeah.
as much.
We can plan it out.
Yeah.
You've done hundreds of them. Is the format? Is it just a talk
Yeah.
format? Really?
I just like people tell me like crazy stuff that's happened to you on
So crazy
while
trip
traveling
stories?
and lost luggage, being arrested.
This sounds like a lot of fun. It's not
Cool
necess-
kind of- yeah.
It sounds like
Well,
less
it's-
work than we have to go place here and do a review on this thing.
No.
And we didn't like their placemats, but the ringlets were nice. And you know what I mean? Like,
I don't like I have written also articles that I've written on the site for stuff, but if I don't like something, I just don't write about it. I'm not into like trashing hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Our
Non-answer's
hotels
an
are
answer, man. You're doing
tours.
your thing.
Rolling
Yeah.
Stone trashing rooms. That's
yeah. Keith Moon throwing
That's right. Remember that?
TVs out the yeah.
Broke the toilet again. Gee whiz.
Yeah, I'm also a co-host on a music podcast that,
Tell me about that.
Rock Solid that my friend Pat Francis hosts.
Are you a musician?
No, but I've always been like a
Encyclopedia.
rock music geek. That was my first job in television. Actually, I was a VJ on VH1
Come on.
in New York. Yeah, for 13 weeks, and then the contract was over.
So is this while you're breaking into comedy, having
No.
already
This
toured,
is
but
this
you're
is,
breaking in New York?
I moved in New York, so I had been doing comedy about 7 years at that, 6, 7 years, and that was my first TV job I ever got. I moved to New York, and I was a VJ for about three months in the summer of '97.
Gosh.
And then
But
went.
that's when it was really cool
That's
to
when
be
it
a
was
VJ.
cool
It was
be a
wild,
VJ.
man. It was great. And as
You know, I mean, I can name all the VJs from that time period.
and as a it was like me. John Fugelsang was there. He was like the real kind of music nerd. There was a guy, AJ Hammer,
Yeah.
was there.
Those guys are all
Yeah.
still on I Love the 90s. And everything.
RuPaul was
Yeah.
shooting his show, that her show.
Now, he's a transvestite. It's
Yeah,
so his.
So I say he.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anymore. Can we use those
Not trans,
terms?
or he's-
They. I don't know. I don't know what's proper anymore. But but that was the one time. I've since then from my TBS show I did a million celebrity interviews and stuff like that.
I
So
bet.
that I'm not really starstruck. And one of the few times I was ever
You strike me as a
starstruck.
very comfortable, very
Well, I
relaxed
wasn't
guy.
at the time. I was, just wide-eyed when I get. So my first week at VH1, George Harrison was there,
Holy shit.
and
In 97, too.
he was there. And there's a clip of him. I've seen it on. Have you ever seen his documentary that Scorsese did on him, Living in the Material World? There's a
No.
clip of him because
Sounds
he
like
was there.
Madonna's.
Ravi Shankar had a new album out, and Ravi was around to promote it, and of course George was helping him promote it. So we didn't really care about Ravi Shankar, but George Harrison was
take him
there.
to get
And
George.
once I heard George Harrison was in the building, I was like, oh my god! So I kept walking by the green room and then I walked by the other way and just.
Yep.
And he must have just
Walk
look
by a
at this
little
idiot.
shorter.
Yeah,
Hat this time.
I'm like poking my head at the.
We
No, I've got
think we
glasses.
are so incognito.
But of course, like at the time, Fugelsang got all the good interviews, and I would get people you never heard of. So he got to do that interview. And when I was watching the Scorsese documentary, you see the clip there, and there's Fugelsang right there talking to him. I was like, I was in the wings watching it.
Kept walking
Son
by
of
the door.
Oh. So that was the only time I kind of geeked out. But
Well, it's a
since then, I've
Beatle.
done so many celebrity interviews. Because
Who's your favorite?
there were so many.
People ask me that from this show. I can't remember.
No,
I
you
can
can't-
never remember on the spot.
Well, we were doing movie junkets, so we would only get most people in movie junkets will only get like 5 minutes. But since the studios are buying time on our show, we would get longer, make like 15 minutes. But we still had to stick with talk
generic
about the film
questions about the movie.
and set up the clips.
Right.
And so, what was it like to work with? So,
I'm ready for Horse and Hound.
yeah. So it was mostly that, but I mean, certain people I could stand out, like someone like Emma Thompson. I could have talked to forever.
Forever.
And just super interesting.
Did you interview Emma Thompson?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big one.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
She's like royalty.
Fantastic. I interviewed Morgan Freeman,
another good
DiCaprio. Yeah.
What
'cause
did you ask
we-
Leonardo DiCaprio? Do you remember?
No, it was all about.
all
It was
canned
what was
shit
the
for
Boston movie? The
Oh, Descendants,
Departed.
Or Departed, yeah.
yeah. So him and Damon did it together. Although Leo DiCaprio, taller than you think he'd be.
Yeah,
He's
right?
one of those
Yeah.
guys deceptively taller. He's like 6'2".
Yeah.
He's like a big dude.
I found
He's
him on
really
Growing Pains. He was a
skinny.
little kid. He's
Yeah.
at least 6'2". He's taller than
That's
me.
most people are shorter than you think they'd be.
Not
and then he
him.
was one of those guys I was surprised.
Totally agree.
Who else was taller than? I know Nicole Kidman was like 5'11". She's Uma
yeah.
Thurman's like a 6-footer.
Same thing, both of them.
Yeah,
And-
they're both very
yeah.
tall and
Salma
beautiful.
Hayek's like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
She's like tiny but gorgeous.
And the nicest.
Yeah. So,
I loved working with her and
Yeah.
running into her at stuff.
but we talked about lighting or something before. But yeah,
Yeah.
some of the older actors and actresses would send their people down to check our lighting for. Nope, move that. Like
Little
you
too
know,
harsh.
ugh.
Little
Bette
too
Midler
close.
sent her person like, no, that light has to go. She knew exactly where Shirley MacLaine as well. Saw some bad face work up close too. It's just like, some surgery. Like,
I've told
Burt Reynolds,
Oh, well, his hair work was always quite
some
exquisite.
weird rug and pulled
Yeah.
the face. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Burt. Just let it go, man.
I've told this story on the show before, but I mentioned that I first started in high school at 30 Rock. But one of the shows was Rosie O'Donnell when she used to have the daytime like Desk and Chairs talk show, and she was always obsessed with both Tom Cruise, who also very short, and that was unrelated, and Barbara Streisand. And she got Barbara Streisand on the show eventually. It was a big fucking to do, and it was like a month-long process, and it was a big ramp up and the whole thing. Coming to the lighting and the certain treatments certain people need. Mm-hmm. Barbara only gets shot from one side. Okay, well, Desk and Chair shows are however they are.
Yeah, and she refused to sit on that side.
She didn't refuse, but it was, I don't know how it came down to us, but however it came down, production had to switch the home base, which is not a big deal to move furniture around. That's a complete lighting change. It's a set change, everything around it. So we had to move. We swapped for one episode.
Wow.
I think we actually swapped it for the whole week. All the episodes.
So it didn't look so.
No, because you couldn't turn it around in time.
Oh yeah.
Takes too much time.
But we ended up having to swap both, and it was one of those things where it was like I had never seen so much work go into something that was purely vanity
for one person.
Yeah, but it was my eye-opening experience at 17, 18 years old, whatever it was, where I was just like, oh, this is how it works. I had no idea.
Adam Sandler would do that too. Adam Sandler likes to be shot only once. I guess he's got one ear that he doesn't
little ear. Yeah, sure.
misshapen or something.
Yeah.
So he always likes to be shot on a certain side.
I didn't know he cared.
Yeah.
Colbert's got the ear thing too, but he uses it.
Yeah, there was some people. Who was it?
But some other people were different eyes. Different color eyes.
Oh,
stuff
really?
Like that.
Yeah, we had like Meryl Streep. I've interviewed a couple times, and she was great.
She's a really nice lady.
Yeah,
I've met her too.
De Niro was like a notoriously bad interview.
Just doesn't say anything. He'd rather just sit there alone.
He doesn't have much of a personality.
He'd rather sit there alone.
There's a reason some people act.
Pot and
he usually does it with other people. You notice on most of it, like he had his director there or his co-stars to kind of take the weight off him because
there's a lot of people that are better when they have someone to play off of.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's that guy, but actors
they worry that they have to be funny or something, and they just don't. And of course, the people that were comics were great.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Carrey was fantastic. They can roll with anything.
Don't put them with anyone.
Yeah, they can riff with you. They can throw them any kind of stupid question, and they'll go with it.
Obviously, he's a good example, but do you like Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
I love Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I didn't ever like him when he was crazy, ridiculous famous. I didn't really get that Mask movie, and I definitely didn't get the Ace Ventura one. But everything he's done since, all his serious stuff, and the person he's become now, like with who he is in the world, I am like enamored with him. I'm like his new biggest fan.
He was one of the first famous people I opened for in Chicago, in the early '90s. At the time he was just known as the white guy on In Living Color.
Sure.
And I think he was going around warming up for his. I think he was a Showtime special at the time. Wow. So this is pre-Ace Ventura. So he was famous, but people knew him from the TV show, and I never
Fire Marshal Bill and all that shit. Yeah.
And he did a little of that toward the end of it. But I don't know if you ever seen his stand-up. It was just, it was really fun.
I don't know if I saw that special, but I've definitely seen stand-up from the time.
So this is a place, it was the old Catch a Rising Star in Chicago outside of,
beautiful,
kind of near O'Hare. And I never saw anybody, he just crushed, like standing ovation. And I'm emceeing, so I didn't know, he didn't say anything beforehand. Like, it was 5 minutes to the show, and we hadn't seen him. It was in a hotel. And I guess he was up in his room, and he came down like right before, no hanging out backstage. He just came down right down. And so he does his show, and people are up on their feet. They're screaming. I was like, I don't know what to do. I bring him back? I didn't know what. And so I got there to shake his hand, and we hadn't had any contact beforehand. He just goes, bring me back. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Give it one more time, Jim Carrey. And then he comes back.
That is so funny.
So, yeah, it was a standing O. Every show he only did the Friday Saturday special event, but crushed. Sure. I say I think this guy's gonna be all right.
Yeah, you folks are here on a good night.
Good eye.
Yeah, there was another guy like that who I didn't know, and this is a different. I've told this story on other places, but there was a guy. There was a hotel gig called it was Merrillville, Indiana, and so basically they had a big showroom next to this hotel. It used to be called the Holiday Star Theater, and I think it's just a Star Theater or something.
Oh, but it's an actual room,
it was like a 2,000-seat theater.
Wow.
But inside the hotel, they had some crappy comedy club. But the sound guys in the big theater used to let us walk up and sit in the sound booth and see who was ever playing. Like I saw like Tony Bennett in there, and
awesome.
Kenny Rogers. They had people like that. And one day there was they said, "Oh, there's a comedian there, and it's sold out." And they told me the name, and I'd never heard of the guy. And it's like if somebody could, at the time, I was so geeked out about
If you could
comedy.
sell out
If somebody
then,
could sell out a
it's a
theater
big
that
deal.
size, I wouldn't know who the hell he
It's
was.
a big deal, yeah.
And I never heard of this guy. And I go there, and it's just sold out. And it was Bernie Mac. And
No
he
way.
wasn't.
We both love
the
Bernie.
great-
And this
Greatest.
was, he was so big on the what they call the Chitlin circuit, the black circuit,
Urban scene.
that he'd never worked any mainstream clubs, and he was from the south side of Chicago. And the fact that I had never heard of him means how under the radar he was. This is before Kings of Comedy had come out and stuff like that.
Before that, he sold
Yeah.
out that room.
And
Holy
it was
cow.
between the south side of Chicago and Gary, Indiana. Like everybody came down.
Yeah.
And he had dancers. He had a band.
Yeah.
The dancers were called the Macaronis.
He did it like Jackie
It was,
Gleason.
and I was like,
He was a showman about it.
oh yeah, and just crushing people, weeping and running around the aisles. I was like, this guy's gonna be all right. I think he's gonna make it in
Wow.
Again,
this business.
Good eye.
Yeah,
Good grief.
but yeah, had never heard of him, and I think maybe like Kings of Comedy came out a year or two after that, and that's what blew him up.
Yeah.
Really, but he was just kind of a regional guy, and there was just the years of touring in black clubs and theaters throughout.
Doing the work.
Yeah, and doing radio and
He
just
did a
building
lot
his
of
own
Midwest
following.
stuff. Yeah, like that was
Tons.
his.
Yeah,
jam.
yeah. So he would go to Detroit and sell
Yeah.
out, and you go to wherever, and I hadn't heard of him, but I did after that night.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
We're getting close here. I'm
Oh, okay.
curious about cars. Do you have any interest in cars at all? It's
I
okay
wish I
if the
did.
answer is no.
I wish I did. No,
Really? Never.
I did.
I
I know you do, and you pick Porsches, which is not a big stretch. I was like, you love these amazing sports cars. Wow,
We like
what drew
beautiful
you?
things.
Yeah, exactly. Although in Porsches, one of my favorite cars. I wouldn't consider myself a car guy, but one of my favorite ones ever, if I was going to have one, are those what they call them, bathtub
that's the
Porsches.
Yeah,
They're those silver.
356.
Oh,
absolutely.
those are beautiful cars.
I couldn't agree with you more.
What's
That's
he
both of
talking
our
about?
favorites.
What year?
356.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, those are
Those
amazing.
smooth kind of. They call them bath because it looks like an
just
overturned bathtub,
Flipped
right?
over, sure.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, the original Porsches.
Yeah. How many does like Seinfeld have? Like 50 of them or 100 of them? Or
I don't know if you can put a number on his collection because it's constantly rotating.
right.
He's constantly, flipping stuff around, and we see him
I'm sure.
relatively regularly. We don't know him or
Does he have like a
anything,
hangar here with all
yeah,
his cars?
I
Yeah.
think he has storage places on both coasts so that he can enjoy the fruits of his
Right.
of his labors.
But it's like specifically a Porsche guy, right? He loves those.
yeah, I think he might have other things as well, but he specifically is hardcore Porsche. And like a lot of the rest of us, though, too. I mean, I used to be a car guy until I got into Porsche, and then I was a Porsche guy. They're just so different.
There is no substitute.
No, what it is the 911 specifically just doesn't drive like any other car, and if you don't care about driving, that means nothing to you. But if you do, and then you figure out how to do it, they're harder to drive. So if you can master it, you're all of a sudden better. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's a different way of looking at things because
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Have you driven an 07 Prius? Because I have one. Maybe you'd like to.
Absolutely.
The handling is fabulous.
I'm not a car.
You might be a
snob.
Porsche guy. We might turn you on
I'm
this
not a
one.
Snob. I am a
I
snob,
love
but
that.
I'm not a Porsche snob.
Oh, the mileage. Glorious.
Well, you said you weren't into cars, so I figured it was something like that, or a
Yeah.
Sentra, or
I-
something or other.
What was your first car?
87 Honda Accord hatchback. It was
Sweet.
probably 5, 6, 7 years old when I got it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a new car. It
I had
was
my
on the side of the
parents-
road for $2,200.
I had my parents' old Mazda GLC wagon.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
niche.
sweet.
My.
5 speeds. 5 speeds.
Well, mine was a manual too. I wanted a manual though.
I never had an automatic till I moved out here.
Really?
And never.
Did you have a car when you were in New York?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't the first 3 months, and then I was doing so many gigs out, and taking the bus to like upstate New York. This is how you would appreciate this because here's how dumb I was before I moved to Brooklyn. I was like, yeah, I had to book some work before I line up some work.
Oh yeah.
So I booked
Can't come
2
in
weeks
cold.
at like in Buffalo, thinking, well, this is New York.
How far?
How far could
it
this
be?
possibly be? 9 hours on the train for
Oh,
like
no.
mother. Where the hell? is Buffalo.
By the way,
my
we've taken
God.
that trip. We've taken that
It
trip
was
a number of
endless.
times.
I was like, how
Yeah.
big is this state? It's huge.
Enormous.
And after
well, and
that,
you're going from the two furthest
Yeah.
points, too.
yeah.
You know?
And then, I was doing gigs in like Jersey and stuff like that. But the problem is with comedy, you're getting out at midnight or after, and you
There's
miss
no
the last
trains.
bus.
Last train.
You miss the last train. And I'm going, I miss my car. So it's like I went back and got my old crappy Toyota road car. And then I just, I think I was paying, I found a lot because I didn't want to be that guy that, you have to wake up
switch
in the
from
morning
side
and
to
go.
side, Alternate
So it's like,
side
I'll
of the
pay
street.
it. It was like $100. I think it was $100. I remember $112 a month.
Oh, my God. That's
for
cheap.
Yeah,
So
That's
cheap.
and
like
I was like,
nothing.
and it was like 4 blocks away from me. But I was like, I'm doing it. And I didn't have much money then. I had like 2 roommates.
That was
and-
money well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
so
a win to work into your monthly nugget. That's
to do these
amazing.
gigs, yeah. So I moved out here in like that same Tercel that I had.
Oh!
200 and 200 and
I said Centro. That's
Yeah,
the same car.
same
Come
kind
on.
of 210,000 miles on it, and I sold it to another comic when I got out of here for like, I think $400.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it had rust on it, and if you have rust on a car out here, like.
People want
No
it.
way.
Right?
Oh no! Every time you pull every red light, parking lot, some Armenian dude. Hey man, I do body work. You need it? It's like, oh come on, man. What am I gonna pay you for?
get away.
Fix a $400 car? Come on. The rest is fine. That's the least of my problems in this thing. I do body work, man. I know you do. Everybody does. They're just blown away to see rust. Like I had holes in it, rusted out. I can
There's
fix
nothing
that,
rots out
man.
here, you know?
Yeah, they're
Nothing rots
nothing
out here.
rusts. So when they see rust, they're like, "Hey man, I can fix that." I'm
like
sure
gold.
you can. Yeah. Look at this car. How much am I gonna fix it? Yeah. Oh God.
Mike Siegel, while you take a sip, are you on the social media?
I am on the social media. Funny Mike on Twitter.
Sweet.
FunnyMike.com is my website, and Travel Tales Pod on Twitter, and Travel Tales Podcast on Instagram.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll post that. We're trying to do more about the
exciting.
social media. I know how to make the show. I don't know how to market the show, sell the show, PR the show. That's not my idea.
You and I are in the same boat.
Well, but everybody tell me, oh, you got to do more Instagram stories. You got to do more
Yeah.
postings, and it's all the crap.
Well, we didn't realize, doing this, we thought, when we've seen the changes and everything, it's like, oh, I thought I could just make it. No, now we're our own network, we're our own advertising company, we're our own PR.
There was-
Luckily, you have a PR genius right here.
And the show has its own publicist who she runs too. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, the whole thing is a learning experience. I kind of thought, oh, self-producing, that's so great, but yeah, you don't think about self-PR, self-marketing, the
Well,
back
look at-
end.
Well, it's amazing you can do this, which was impossible 20 years ago.
Well, you're
but,
still using it.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Hey. But putting it out there, that's anybody can make anything now. It's just getting people to find it and see it, and
What do we have coming up for you? Speaking of seeing it, you've got the cruise ship we were talking about next month.
the week of October 14th, I'll be back in Chicago, my hometown, at Zany's. A couple
Beautiful.
nights, 14th, 15th at Zany's downtown, and then 17th through 19th at St. Charles.
Nice.
So there's that, and my dry bar comedy special is out. Called.
That's already out?
It's out. Came
Oh, shit, I
out
thought
last
it was
month.
coming out. Okay.
No, Have
So
Jokes
is it-
Will Travel
So
is
where
the
do
name
they-
of it.
Where do they find that? Video?
Drybarcomedy.com.
Oh, it's on the dry bar.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
And now when I thought about this coming out here, I'm wearing the exact same shirt in the special. So people go from here and go see the special. They're going to, does this idiot have one shirt?
No, I think it's the
It's
opposite.
the exact same shirt.
He did this show right after the special.
Yeah.
That's what we're
Backstage.
excited. That's right.
So that's out there. And Dry Bar's whole thing, it's like clean comedy, so it's family friendly.
Oh, that's their
friendly.
deal.
Yeah. So it was a nice easing into.
How did that whole thing start,
That.
the dry bar thing? Do you know the history of it?
They are Mormon.
It is, right? There's
Company.
a whole-
They're out of Provo, and they basically put a filter on your TV for what you can watch Game of Thrones with. If you want the nudity out of it, if you want they can. You can
But
put filters
It's
on.
family friendly. They're trying to family friendly-fy
Yeah.
existing program.
Yes,
That's hard.
it's a hard
It's
thing to
a-
do, and I hear there's I think there's a court case that some of the studios maybe are having a problem with them doing it. So I don't know what the deal is there, but Dry Bar is part
I
of
did
their.
not know that.
Yeah,
I did not.
It's a company.
I did not know that.
Well, it's a company called Vid Angel. They're the production company. So they're the ones doing it. But Dry Bar Comedy is its own separate
Now,
branch
Angel
of
sounds
theirs.
like a porno company.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
And Dry Bar. Every time I say Dry Bar, they're like, "Oh, you mean the hair balloon?
That's
Yeah.
all I
Hair
can
drink?"
think
It's
of.
like,
That's
no,
what I
not that one. Not that one.
Mike Siegel, I hope that you've enjoyed this experience.
This has
We've
been great.
Totally enjoyed having this conversation
Well,
with
thank
you,
you.
getting to know you. I feel like I do know you a little bit better now.
Well, you. I'm going to borrow your Porsche if you don't mind.
You should.
We can
as
trade.
long as I
We'll
can
swap.
Spin a few miles per gallon on your Prius.
Done. Fair trade.
Oh, I
All
can't
right,
wait.
Mrs. Ryan, what do we have coming up here? Let's see.
Tomorrow we have stuff.
Oh, great. Yeah, Steph Curtis is back again tomorrow. That's exciting. We love her. I don't know
try
how to
to find
describe her.
another
She's
shirt.
a travel person as well. And
Steph
also,
Curtis?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's a cannabis expert and all sorts of things. Kind of exciting.
Super cool
she's really
girl.
cool. And super nice, too. Friday, we've got that Breakfast Club where Karina will be taking photos, 8:30 to 9:15, but we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Mrs. Ryan, I love you so very much. Mike Siegel, we love you so very much.
And I love you both.
We love everybody at home. Please love one another. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh. Take two. That's nice. Do you have a... did somebody make you a theme? Like
Yes.